The hit game Among Us was released in late 2018 and gained popularity in early 2020 before quickly dying around December of the same year. However, a little while before this, a man with the last name Berger decided he would make a movie like Among Us but under a different name, Voyagers, called by critics as Lord of the Flies but in space. So, for some reason, this was made by 8 different production companies, that being Lionsgate, AGC Studios, Thunder Road, Nota Bene Films, Fibonacci Films, Still King Films, Freesis Films, and Ingenious Media. The budget for this movie was $29 million. How much did this movie get back in the box office? $4,298,184. They lost $25 million making this movie. What makes that fact even better was that Voyagers was AGC Studios' biggest project, which ended up being a complete train wreck. AGC Studios, more like absent gross cinema. Speaking of absent gross cinema, they have an upcoming project called Freelance, which is an action comedy starring John Cena. John Cena is not funny. Why are studios still trying to put him into movies? He's not funny. I don't understand. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. The Among Us movie, Voyagers, which has a movie poster that looks like a really bad synthwave take of 50 Shades of Grey, is set in 2063. Why so far into the future? Well, essentially the climate on Earth has become so hot, drought and disease is ravaging the population, and scientists found a new planet that is able to support human life. The first scene has a woman who is talking into the sky about how they found a planet suitable for human life, and how the voyage will take 86 years. Then she says that the crew has to reproduce on board in order for this trip to be possible, and in order to inhabit the planet. Then the scene switches to a doctor looking into a microscope that has a petri dish filled with wriggling Q-tips, and then she puts a Q-tip into a giant ball. And now we have an epic montage that shows a baby being born. We now meet Dr. Richard Allen, the scientist who was going with the 30 crew members on board to help them through their journey through space. Wait, 30 people? But in order to colonize another planet, you need at least 110. Incest aside, Richard talks about how there's going to be many challenges with being isolated on a ship in space and not on Earth. We then get a shot of how big the habitat simulator looks like from outside. And this is one of the many inconsistencies in this film, besides the 30 instead of 110 people needed. If Earth is hot, why are they all wearing clothing that creates heat? They're wearing pants, wear shorts, it's hot outside. Anyway, Richard visits the kids and grows emotionally attached to them, which inspires the decision that he wants to go with them. And the unnamed woman who he talks to attempts to convince him otherwise, but he still insists on going. The ship then gets launched into space, and Elon Musk is nowhere to be found, but instead of the ISS being in space, there was an enormous space station with a font that, instead of it reading like Humanitas, I literally read Hummus every single time that I read it. The ship docks onto the Hummus station, and the kids walk through to their rooms. Richard gets one final look at Florida before the screen fades to black, and we time travel 10 years into the future. We get an overview of the ship with the most illogical screens and user interfaces I have ever seen in a movie. The ship then creaks ominously to convey to viewers that something bigger is out there than there actually is. Here's a hint. There isn't. It's literally just a normal ship, but it says hummus on the side. We then get a shot of our main character who was in Ready Player One, and a girl that is important later in the film. They all sit looking at a wall that explains that they are the very root of continuing the human species, and how they need to have children on the ship, however through artificial insemination and incubation. Basically, how they were born. Then they exercise, look through a thing, and then eat when the dude from Midsommar who got turned into a black eagle trips. Everyone grins, and then they drink blue raspberry Kool-Aid, and listen to classical music on headphones that look like toothbrushes. The protagonist from Black Mirror's Bandersnatch ear rapes Christopher with Beethoven. The girl walks to the ship's airlock and looks out the window. She sees nothing but space and talks to Richard, and we discover that she is nihilistic.
Our lives aren't important.
Well, your life, my life is as important as anyone's.
He then shows her illegal footage from his personal life. Ooh, spooky. The ominous noise then plays again throughout the ship to strike fear into everyone. Something starts beeping, and it's revealed that there was a toxin in the water that doesn't have any sort of files or a Wikipedia page on it at all. Chris then shows this to Zach, and they sneak out in the middle of the ship night to find the hidden info on the toxin. And Chris bypasses the firewall by connecting to the processor.
We're connecting directly to the processor.
What?
It's the same way.
For some reason, this works, and they eventually find and figure out that it's a medication that turns them into white girls with white Air Force Ones and then also a non-existent libido.
The white girls get them. They be like, ooh, look at my new forces. And then
They then stop drinking the blue, as they call, which then starts their hormone overflow. Zach then attempts to feel pleasure by electrocuting other people for a short time. Richard then has a session with Chris talking about the hidden pod on the ship. Richard then sends a log to Earth talking about how she should be honest to the kids, and it's revealed that the future returns to using a 56K modem. Chris then looks at Sayla and gets a boner and touches her hand, to which she blankly stares. Zach then goes up to Sayla, and this scene plays out, and oh my god.
Sayla,
What?
you look different.
I'm the same.
Oh, you're not. Neither am I.
What are you talking about?
I don't know, you changed. Everything about you.
Yeah, I've grown up.
That's exactly what I want to talk to you about. You have, but you're not feeling what I'm feeling.
No grabbing, Zach.
I wasn't grabbing.
Chris and Zach then start feeling manly things and start fighting. Zach wins and he becomes monkey. They then start running around and crashing into walls. The ominous sound plays again. They then find someone looking through the cameras around the ship to find the source of the sounds. Zach hints at the fact that there might be something outside of the ship. Sayla is then shown smelling different Earth things with Richard, and Zach and Chris notice them, but Zach notices how Richard is touching Sayla. He then gets angry and creepy about that. The next day, Richard tells everyone that contact with Earth is gone and that he needs help to fix the transmitter on the outside of the ship. Zach then sees Sayla alone in the airlock, and oh no. Instead of listening to what she's talking about, he grabs Booba and, thank you, Richard, for dispersing of whatever the fuck that was supposed to be. Richard looks for Zach, and somehow within the last 10 seconds of that occurring, the entire ship knows about what happened. This girl then tells him that Zach stopped taking the blue, and it turns out it also prevents impulse control, and Christopher is also nihilistic.
We're just gonna die in the end, so why can't we do what we want?
Richard and Christopher then go on the outside of the ship, and Kai and Zach are in the control room. Zach is visibly angry for some reason, and the crewmates then go to do out their task in order to fix communications. Richard starts the repair, and Kai shuts down the electricity, allowing Richard to work on the transmitter. Everything is going well until the ominous noise plays again, and Richard fucking dies of death. They bring him back onto the ship, where it's discovered that he's been burned worse than Deadpool. I would also like to mention how in this scene his eyes are closed, and then when they take him to the medical bay, his eyes are open. Oh yeah, he's also dead. They try to figure out what happened to him. They conclude that it's an alien, and a girl starts crying. Hummus's systems restarts, and they start looking for a leader. They all vote, and the election result is Christopher as the chief officer. Zach isn't happy about this. Chris then does the logical thing by having everyone fix the things that are broken and then figure out what happened to Richard. Also, all of the surveillance footage has been destroyed for plot convenience, but at least the cameras were higher quality than the ones at corner stores. Chris checks in on Sayla and shows him Richard's iCloud Photos account and tells Chris that they were just friends, and they continue to watch his logs. His logs basically talk about how the mission is important and that he wanted to make sure that they were okay. And this is where the entire movie's writing starts to fall apart. Eerie music plays, revealing Chris and one girl working on the surveillance. Chris then finds everyone in the food room, with Zach stepping in and saying that they could have a feast so that the food doesn't go bad. Kai then announces that no one should drink the blue because Zach said that it's controlling everyone. Zach then starts caressing Julie and starts sucking his thumb, and they start touching each other in front of everyone in the weirdest way possible. Because everybody stopped drinking the blue, everyone has been doing more things to increase their hormone flow and start messing with literally everything. I'm not going to talk about these weird montages because they're pretty self-explanatory. Sayla then finds Zach and a bunch of other people in the Richard room, and they all leave. Zach looks at her in a weird way and then says to Chris,
She doesn't want me to touch her.
Sayla then finds a scalpel and takes it for herself. Chris walks around the ship and finds Kai and Julie doing the dance with some pants, and Zach knocking on Sayla's door in a really creepy way. Chris finds Sayla and Zach, walks in on Chris hugging her in a very shaky way.
You're just like him.
No, you don't understand. He was coming in here to get you. I was trying to help you.
Zach then gets mad at Chris for taking Sayla and blames it on his position. The creaking comes back, and Kai finds his former lover doing the dance with pants. They're not even doing anything. Like, what is happening? and gets really angry, so he pushes her and starts beating the shit out of Leafy is here, and Zach helps him for some reason. Everyone is eating, and Chris asks Teo not to eat on the table, and says the most 11-year-old line possible.
Shut your face.
Oh yeah, Leafy is here comes back and literally bludgeons Kai on the head with a fucking crowbar. Chris tells everyone to stop fighting, and tells everyone to get back to work. Now everyone is a nihilist.
It isn't fair.
And Zach starts again with the stupid fucking grin, and it's way too obvious that he's the villain. Like, oh my god. This dude then says,
He thinks the alien is living in there.
and flips things on Chris, but Phoebe suggests that they should watch the footage before the accident. And Zach's reply is this.
Surveillance video
Shut
and
your
see.
fat, pus-filled face.
I've got a right to talk.
You talk too much as it is, you bloated.
Who the
wheezing
fuck
blister.
wrote this script?
Oh, Mr. Berger. Oh yeah, then Zach brings back the crowbar. Zach then uses manipulation to scare everyone to become a secondary leader. Just like in Lord of the Flies, but in space, and cringe, also Among Us. So the crewmates separate between Zach and Chris, and it literally becomes Predator versus Alien, but they're both on the same side and named Zach. Chris looks into the surveillance room, and Zach goes into the systems room with Kai as the rest of the crew watch. Zach then successfully scares everyone by pretending something was in there with them. Oh wow, Chris found the surveillance drive and it's a glass circle. Zach's cronies tell Chris and his two girls that Zach found the alien, and Sayla realizes that they did it for a reason. No shit. They then found Zach and Kai in the control room, and it's revealed that Zach actually overloaded the thing that Richard was working on, and it electrocuted him. This is yet another inconsistency, because astronaut gloves have rubber gloves. They even make this comment in the movie! And you can't get electrocuted by a wire in space, because electricity works completely differently in space and not in the way that this movie showed it. If this did work, it wouldn't have been enough to burn Richard, but at most probably short-circuit his suit, but at the same time, that still doesn't work. Anyway, they find out that Zach is the imposter/murderer, they hide the footage, and Chris and Sayla are alone in the room, talking about the issues with Zach. Sayla asks Chris to stay, and they lay together in the same bed. They then start kissing, and it gets more intense, and then they wake up to Zach's banging on Sayla's door, and they start giggling, seeing them shirtless. Zach invites them to a celebration with the same fucking grin! They go to the food room and find a couple of other people shirtless, and the same grin again! Sandy trips and everyone laughs for some reason, and they get food. Zach makes this announcement.
All right, listen up, everybody. Now, I know we've had some disagreements in the past. We're gonna put all that behind us. I'm chief officer now, and that's the way it's gonna be. From now on, we'll do the work, but we'll do it when we want and how we want. We'll make the rules, and anyone who breaks them will have to answer to me. The alien's somewhere in the ship.
They continue on with the alien, and Chris connects the footage to the big screen showing the evidence on how Zach is the imposter and killed Richard. Chris exposes Zach, and it looks like everyone goes along with Chris, and the movie is saved. Zach confesses, but then twists it in this stupid fucking line of dialogue.
I did it. I killed him. But I did it for you. I did it to protect you. I did it because I saw the alien in him. The alien was in Richard, and then Christopher brought it inside.
That's not true.
He shouldn't have. He knew something was wrong, but he did it anyway.
How the fuck is everyone this dumb?
Zach then starts accusing random people on how they might be the alien, and it slowly becomes more chaotic and violent. Hey, I remember this in Lord of the Flies. Oop, okay, bye Leafy. Ooh, chase sequence. Uh-oh, he tripped. Well, he died just like his YouTube career. Kai then becomes a terrible villain, and Zach takes all of the possible weapons in the ship, and Chris's group doesn't know what to do, but Sayla reminds Chris that he found a secret compartment with weapons. Chris moves the vent, crawls into it, and closes it. Chris finds the room and attempts to open the door with 6 different symbols that look similar to dryer instructions. How is this even a useful door lock? Like, why is there a circle and a triangle and a hit marker from MLG videos? Like, what is going on? What is this door lock? Chris fails miserably, and Zach's offshoot group hears the blaring and then hears movement in the walls. They report back to Zach, who's sleeping next to a bunch of girls. By the way, I want to interrupt here and let you know that this movie has a 44 on Metascore and a 24% on Rotten Tomatoes. scenarios. Chris finds a weapon that has more resemblance to a drill and puts it into a backpack. He leaves and sees Zach's group have found the door to the weapons room. They all find weird-looking weapons, and instead of leaving them for the third generation, their children, Zach says that it's for them, the second generation. And now they all have plasma guns. Chris's group joins Zach's, and Chris, Selah, and Phoebe look at the security cameras and see Zach's group and plan to kill Zach. Kai then cuts the power. Why is the ship designed in a way so that a single switch turns off the entire ship's power? And then Zach finds them, and then they pull Chris away, and Selah essentially offers herself towards Zach, but somehow the people behind Selah don't see the scalpel that she has in her hand. Zach then rejects her, taking the Sigma male route. Sandy is done with everything and gets told to shut up about 12 different times. I lost count.
Genetic defect.
We're trying to make sense here and you are not listening.
Shut up.
Also, Kai is a horrible character. He essentially kills the character that is based on Piggy from Lord of the Flies, and basically the final symbol of rationalism. And then Zach chooses to take the surprise death of Zandy as a spectacle of his power. As you could probably tell, he's the villain of the story. He then shoots at Chris, and due to plot armor, Chris runs away with no issue while Zach walks. Chris and Selah go into a vent and hide, to which Zach orders everyone to look around in the food room. Everyone starts to open up the vents, and Zach shoots into the open one and starts shooting around the room and literally wrecks their chance of future survival. Chris and Selah escape, and they go into a room, and Kai starts shooting the door, and due to plot armor once again, Chris lives again. And then Selah injects Kai with a syringe that she found. He dies. Then some of Zach's group finds Chris, and they understand that Chris doesn't actually want to hurt them and that they are just following orders, so they don't do anything. Chris runs away, and then Zach shoots at them and causes Chris to bleed from the neck, and the gun flies out of his hands. They continue running until they go to the airlock compartment. Chris then gets the idea to put on spacesuits. Meanwhile, Zach is shooting open the doors, and he finds them in the airlock. At this point in the movie, Zach's hair has become so unbelievably greasy that he has enough competition with a McDonald's double cheeseburger. He then shoots open the airlock door and is about to be sucked out into the vacuum of space, but he quickly pulls Selah and gets a knife and eventually stabs her in the thigh as the airlock hatch is closing, and Chris pulls him out further into space. Also, his shirt rips in an extremely comedic way, and he kicks Chris into the void. Seeing the position that Selah is in, she jump kicks Zach into space. She stops the closing process of the hatch, waiting for Chris, and completely disregards the rest of the ship because the door is literally open for the rest of the ship. The oxygen levels are going down. What are you doing? She looks for Chris and sees that he held onto the ship exterior, and they have this facial expression exchange. They get back on the ship and meet Zach's group and tell him,
Zach's gone.
Time passes and everyone is in the cafeteria. Selah asks how to prevent this, and they watch Richard's log, and they cast another vote to see who the new chief is. It's Selah. Everyone is moving on, but they are not going back on the blue because they believe that they can do well on their own. Everyone starts fixing the ship and then starts normally monitoring everything. Selah becomes pregnant, we can obviously guess who the father is, and then she gives birth. More time passes and the kids are running around on the ship, and it essentially turns into a time-lapse showing how everyone is aging, and then everything fades to black. 86 years after launch, we are shown some fairly decent VFX, which pans into the original crew, aged and old-looking, at the Earth-like planet, their new home. A happy ending. Everybody voted out the imposter, and the movie is still fairly disappointing. For some reason, there were no precautions for anything that happened. There were no emergency protocols for what happens when the kids become literal teenagers and start being extremely angsty and cringy. However, you might say they would still be drinking the blue. They would not. The movie showed us that Chris found an error, and even without Richard being there, Chris would have still found out that they were being drugged, and the consequences, if Richard wasn't even there in the first place, so much worse than it already was depicted in this film. The writing of this movie is genuinely laughable. The scenes where the crew are interacting is very much a joke. It's incredibly unrealistic, but if it's due to the blue raspberry Kool-Aid that was being given out, that would have made much more sense. But another issue with that is that the blue is there to dull personality, and somehow it made the entire crew's personality even more dull after they stopped drinking it.
You're a poopy head.
The only characters that were actually fairly well written was Christopher, Zandy, and Sayla. Sayla almost makes the cut, but she's still fairly boring. Chris is the main character and somehow the one that was the most interesting to watch. However, he is depicted and shown sometimes as a stupid character, especially during the scenes where he tries to hide from Zach and tries to talk to Zach as well. Zandy is only useful for the plot in the scene right before she dies, because this is one of the rare parts of the movie where it realizes that it's actually just a sad ripoff of Lord of the Flies, and it has to be a Piggy-like character. Sayla is a boring character, but somehow she has more personality than most white girls that I have ever met. She's boring because she doesn't have much attraction towards Chris until she sees him as a guardian way later in the movie. Another point is the fact that she literally just has this dull expression that barely changes through most of the movie unless something serious is happening. She even has the same facial expression in the movie poster. Speaking of facial expressions, Zach is literally the worst villain I have ever seen in a movie. It's so stupidly obvious from the beginning that he's the villain that Zach makes Disney twist villains look entertaining. Wow, greasy hair. Whoa, weird way of
Surveillance video.
talking.
Shut your
See.
fat, pus-filled face.
I've got a right to talk.
You talk too much as it is, you
And that stupid fucking grin. What makes Zach even worse as a character is that he's short as shit. How did no one taller than him just push him over? He would have just waddled away with his stubby little legs. Anyway, an actual reason as to why Zach's character is even worse in this horribly written movie is that everybody just follows him for no reason other than, uh-oh, scary alien imposter. The movie has nothing else to make him look more intimidating other than spooky music that plays whenever he's shown on screen, and the way that he looks at people. Also, what the fuck is this scene? This scene could have been completely scrapped from the movie. Someone, I don't know, could have just walked in on him jerking off or something, but no, he has to do the thing to tell the audience that he's the bad guy because, yeah, this movie in its entirety is a genuine mess. It's 1 hour and 47 minutes, and the only time I would ever recommend this movie to watch would be if you're drunk, high, or using this to Netflix and chill. However, this movie is on Amazon Prime, so I guess you would be Amazon Prime and Alone Time? I don't care if that was old and cringy, I think it's funny, but at least it's better written than this movie. Okay, I will be honest, even though this movie isn't that good, the writing is atrocious at parts, the music is also incredibly annoying at times, and the fact that the villain could have been written way better, the idea that this movie conveys is fairly okay. The idea that we can colonize planets for the safety of our survival, this concept has been done before, but I do see how this movie wanted to show what might happen in this specific scenario. It does also attempt to be Lord of the Flies, but unfortunately it doesn't live up to be the book's replacement. It's more of a sad homage to the book rather than something that can be taught in schools. Due to the similarities to Lord of the Flies and trying to make a futuristic spin on the story, Voyagers may have conveyed a good idea, but unfortunately it's just going to become a forgettable and pathetic copy of Lord of the Flies, but in space instead. Looking into the director for this movie, Neil Berger, he has directed a fair amount of movies such as The Lucky Ones, The Upside, Voyagers, and the Divergent series, and if I knew that he directed the Divergent series, then I would have skipped this film because we all know how much of a train wreck those movies were. In turn, Voyagers is the Among Us movie that nobody asked for, and nobody cared enough to actually go out of their way to watch it, which is why the reviews for this film are pretty low. However, due to this existing and having mediocre reviews, I would say that this movie is shit, but it's entertaining shit. But if I would grade it from a 1 to 10, I would give this a 4 out of 10 for below average. It didn't reach a 5 for me because last time I played Among Us was 5 months ago, and even though it was trying to be futuristic and spacey, this movie does not deserve the same popularity that the game got. Thank you for watching, please like and subscribe, and I hope you have a great day.